The first 4 episodes of Marvel's new TV show Moon Knight did not disappoint, but with only 2 episodes left to go, will they be able to wrap things up properly, or will we end up with a rushed finale? Hi there, it's Micha. Join me as I will share my thoughts on it. Episode 5, titled Asylum, starts where the last chapter left off, with Stephen and Mark running into the anthropomorphic hippopotamus, which turned out to be the goddess Taveret. She tells them that they are dead, and that the hospital is some kind of a waiting area, or their manifestation of it, containing all their memories. Actually, they are on a ship, sailing the Duat, a sea made out of sand, en route to their afterlife. To enter the field of reeds, the pleasant place in the underworld, the scale of justice needs to be balanced. For that, she takes out their hearts, without hurting them, and weighs them against a feather. But there is an imbalance created by hidden memories. To uncover those, the two need to check out some hidden rooms in the hospital, which leads to suppressed truths about their past. This all happens in parallel to Harrow, as a psychiatrist, telling them that all is just in their, or better said, Mark's head.
Do you think that you created Stephen to hide from all of the awful things you've done?
We learn how Bushman, Mark's mercenary partner, killed a group of archaeologists and left Mark for dead. As he opposed the massacre, ending up in a pyramid, Khonshu manipulates the dying soldier into accepting the Moon Knight mantle. We also learn that Mark had a younger brother, Randall, who drowned when they both were playing in a cave that got flooded by rainfall. Mark's mother blamed him for years, abusing him mentally and physically, resulting in his psyche to split, creating Stephen to better cope with it. Though he was on his son's side, Mark's father did nothing to protect him, so he left when he became of age to join the military. For years he didn't even see Stephen, but after his mother died, his other personality reappeared and took over for a while. All these findings still didn't bring the scales into balance. Therefore, hostile spirits start to attack the boat, where Stephen found his bravery and protects a wounded Mark, but ends up going overboard and turning into stone or sand or something in between, which brings the scale into balance. However, as Taveret notices dozens of souls being sent into the afterlife before their time, apparently Ahmed's handiwork, which lands them in the sand sea, perishing, the goddess agreed to bring Mark back to the real world to stop this evil from continuing. Where this episode ends. This chapter was a tough one for me to rate, as it had a lot to tell us, really digging into the character development and doing a great job at it, but on the other hand, it wasn't furthering the main plot at all, leaving us basically at the same point as last episode. Mark is still dead, though he apparently found a way back. We still can't be clear about what's real, though as said last week, Marvel would not create a show around a character that only is a hero in his mind but has no impact on the MCU. Still would be bold of them to do that, but could you imagine the backlash? So we still assume the boat is real, or let's better say the asylum is not real, and only exists in his head, as the boat and the underworld may also end up being only a figment of his imagination. But let's assume the world we were presented in previous episodes is real. And Mark is the Moon Knight. We haven't learned who is in the other sarcophagus, and if it is a sliver of Khonshu or some other personality we don't know yet, or if it end up to not even matter. Apparently, Taveret is the reason for him to be brought back to life, not Khonshu. So why was Stephen tasked to remind Mark to free Khonshu? What's up with that? For me, this is a little bit of a cop-out for a solution, especially when you had another way in place that would be more logical, like having a sliver of Khonshu in his mind. Why create a Deus Ex Machina moment, here even with an actual goddess coming in literally on a machine, her boat? On that level, it might be funny, but it was not satisfying at all. As you can imagine though, there was a lot of moments where Oscar Isaac was able to shine, playing the two main protagonists in this episode, which lets him show off his acting chops even more than in previous episodes. What I didn't quite understood though is this. Mark created Stephen to cope with the abuse, but it was Stephen who took the beating in the moment we were shown. So why is Mark remembering the abuse but Stephen doesn't? Maybe as the beating started, Mark returned and we were just not shown that fact, but it still puzzled me a bit. As this chapter was the penultimate episode and didn't further the main plot, I am a bit worried the story will not be properly wrapped up. This is something that seems to be a thread going through many of Disney Plus's Marvel and even Star Wars shows. They come in with great characters, high production values, do a fantastic job with exposition and character development, just to have a rushed and underwhelming finale, where they either try to tackle too much in too little time, or just leave things open to be continued in another property. I hope it will be different here, but the finale will show us soon. Now, before we get to the rating, please like and share this video if you enjoyed it so far. And if you are no subscriber yet, maybe consider to change that. If you also hit the notification bell, YouTube will give you a heads up when I post a new video. But now for the rating. As mentioned, it was a tough one, as it was mostly exposition and character building. All we were shown was interesting and entertaining, or shocking at times, but it didn't further the main storyline. Like I always say, being worried about the next episode or the overall show in general is no reason to rate a separate episode differently. It should always be on its own merits. So let's do that. But here is still a main detractor, and this week it is the 11th hour savior concept, the Deus Ex Machina moment, where they pulled a cheap solution out of their ass, where a more fitting solution was at hand. The big plus points though were all the details we learned about Mark and Stephen's backstory, which were very much worth to see on screen. And the acting alone was very much worth watching the episode. Overall the episode was almost great, so 7.5 out of 10 should be fair. My sister Angie also struggled a lot with her rating this week for similar reasons and for the depressing subtone the episode had. She's also a little bit worried about Stephen being gone for good, lost to the sand. However, she liked to see all the backstory that we learned this week and ended up scoring the episode with 8 out of 10 points, which is slightly higher than my rating. What do you think about this chapter? Are you also afraid the last episode may rush to the conclusion? If there is any, let me know in the comments. So much for now, see you next time and thanks for watching.